Excuse me. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to a video that I am extremely super excited to film for you all. This is entirely inspired by videos that I have seen by Alexa Sunshine 83. I feel like I keep repeating the same YouTubers. I mean, I just have a set of ones that I love for my fashion content. I've seen Beep World, I've seen Katie Louise, Katie Robinson do videos of this nature, and that is discussing my fashion related ins and outs for 2025. Now, I have seen the content of around this video being as simple as talking about trends that are going to be in and out for 2025, as well as having a bit more nuanced discourse on some of the either bad behaviors we want to leave in 2025 and better, more sustainable behaviors moving forward. Obviously, the content creators that I listen to when it comes to fashion and other things, I did see Robert Welsh, who is a makeup YouTuber, do a ins and outs of 2025, but the majority of people that I listen to and get content from are people who are geared towards sustainability, secondhand fashion, kind of not giving into the norms of the overhyped and super pumped up micro trends and paying more attention to like quality, understanding that trends and fashion is a very cyclical experience. If it's been going on for this long, clearly things go in and out of style. I just think this is a really fun video idea to kind of sit down, think with myself, think about what energy I want to be taking into the new year when it comes to me and my fashion, my style, my consumer habits, and share them with you all. I like creating a group of like-minded individuals here. For everyone who is here, thank you so much for being here. Take a shot every time I say here, but don't actually. I do want to preface this with saying I have my little notes, and I was going for having 5 ins and 5 outs, and I'm pretty sure I've kept to that, although my fashion ins are a bit more kind of just more fashion related, like, ooh, I like this kind of style and this kind of something that I think is going to be in and very popular for me in 2025, whereas my outs are a bit more talk based, a bit more nuanced, and are honestly topics that I'll probably be looking into making deeper dive videos in the new year. So if you're interested in seeing me expand on some of these topics, definitely let me know down below. But I love hearing myself talk. I will leave channels linked down below. Should you feel so inclined, feel free to subscribe, like, boost my non-existent algorithm. Go check out my channel where you will find more similar content to this, and let's just get on into it. And I think we should start off strong with a fashion in, something that I am definitely embracing, something that I would call and recommend y'all embracing as well, and hoping that a greater portion of fashion involved people will be embracing as well. And that is buying whole material quality clothing and at least whole material blends. With the rampant rise of fast fashion, there is a huge amount of circulation of truly subpar, cheaply produced materials. We see a lot of polyester, which is the cheapest material to produce and for fashion, especially fast fashion, to use. We see a lot of acrylic. We see a lot of, I guess rayon isn't so bad, simply materials that are creating more waste when they're being constructed, as well as the sense that because they are lower quality, they are going to degrade faster. And then in that sense, the life expectancy life cycle of these lower quality garments is just really even shorter, not even just from them breaking down faster. You know, you wash it once and that's it. All the seams have unraveled, the fabric has peeled, it's gotten even sheerer than when you first bought it. And so that from the shop to you, to the landfill or to Goodwill, where it does typically the statistics of how many clothes that are actually donated end up in a landfill is pretty staggering. Although I do not discourage anyone from donating. Donating is at least better than just putting it straight into the landfill. But for me and my house, I really, really love cotton. Absolute king, queen, duke, duchess, everything in between. I love cotton, linen, silk. I especially like these products when you can get them in a blend. And while a blended fabric may not be as good as a whole one, it is definitely better than going for a straight 100% polyester, 100% acrylic. An example that I use is from Minga London. I have a sweater from them that is 100% cotton. And then if you go to the site and you go to that sweater, it has color variants. You click on a different color. I bought a different color. It is 100% acrylic. You can make it in cotton in the one color. Why can't you make it in the other? Make it make sense, Minga. And kind of in that same, my first fashion out is fast fashion, but not just Shein, not just Romwe, not just Cider, not just, Nasty Gal at this point. There's a lot of discourse going on about that company, but really take a look at even a lot of those creators, a lot of those brands and companies that you, I think, would look at and be like, oh, well, maybe they're fine. There is a disgusting amount of greenwashing going on where companies are honestly, just basically lying to us about their sustainable efforts, about how big their impact is on the environment and the textile industry. There is a very important video by Katie Robinson that I will leave down below. I listened to her for a lot of discourse on what is going on in fashion, just all the time. She does pretty frequent recaps, and she did a video talking about some of the stuff that has happened in the new year that was disgusting and shocking to me, and it really does make me think that we need to take a stronger stance on not just demonizing Shein and the very obvious ones. I know Temu, but even brands like H&M and other of those those companies that I feel we've used and purchased from for years who have made attempts. I remember H&M for a while there had if you were not going to be if you had H&M clothes, it may have just been denim. If you were going to get rid of it, they had stations in some of their stores where you could recycle it. I know there was a lot of anticipation as well as disappointment when it came to that particular project, that it really didn't do as much good, or it wasn't as efficient as the company claimed it to be. I think it's important to really look at a broader spectrum of the fashion and the brands and the clothing that we invest in when it comes to supporting companies that aren't even just those very obvious ones, but acknowledging and looking into and realizing that a lot of these mainstream brands who we would either initially think or who express that they're on a higher level of accountability, when in reality a large margin of the market is just as bad. And this has to do not just with the quality and production, it has to do with the environment that their workers are in, as well as one thing that was brought up in that video by Katie Robinson was the footprint and the significance of the transportation that these companies use when bringing in their products, bringing in the materials for them, exporting, importing is such a significant impact that I didn't even think about until I watched her video. So I will definitely leave that down below, and I do urge all of y'all, those who are interested in fashion, those of you who are into sustainability, to really start taking even a deeper look, an even deeper dive into the companies that we may even think or hope to believe that they are better than what their practices actually are. Okay, another for me at least, and I think this has been, I've watched a couple trend videos and I've looked at a couple articles. I try to, when I do my style and fashion videos, when it comes to trends or anything like that, I like listening to YouTubers. I like reading a lot of articles to see what sort of things overlap. And for me, one of the things that is definitely a positive and something that I have seen is the concept of elevated comfort / elevated basics. I feel like in the past couple of years, especially with the TikTokification of fashion, is things have become so, you look good for the picture, you put your outfit on, it looks amazing, you take your video. But when in reality, a lot of the items that you're wearing, they look good when you're standing. They look good when you're filming. They look good when you take your TikTok video or you take your picture for Instagram or whatever. But then outside of that environment, I mean, for people who are going out and living that maximalist lifestyle, you do you. Oh my God, I have every ounce of respect for people who are just like, I am dressing not just to the 9s, but the 10s, the 11s, and 12s, and 13s. I have learned over the years that I am more of a eclectic rather than a maximalist. And so for me, I really like incorporating elements of my style and projecting how I like to decorate my flesh prison while also incorporating a level of practical comfort. Like with all my clothes, I used to just be like, yeah, I'll just stand here and it looks good and it's amazing. But for me now and how I dress and my lifestyle, it's just not enough for me to be buying pieces that are like editorial pictures, photo shoot sort of things versus something that I can feel good and comfortable that really expresses who I am without it burdening my natural lifestyle. Nothing kills me more now that I have gotten and embraced myself. If it doesn't fit right in my autistic, dysmorphic, whatever, it's not getting worn. It's not happening. I don't care how good it looks when I'm just like, ooh, yes. Those moments are great, but I want those moments to happen within me being comfortable. I love the concept of elevated basics. If any of y'all know, I love me a basic on a basic on a basic on a basic, but really focusing on those basics that have nice little details, have things that make them that you're like, okay, I reach for this repeatedly because it's a basic, but it's also something that adds distinct and detailed elements to my outfits because it has a bit more character, a bit more uniqueness than just something that's a straight up neutral color that I wear 24/7. Adding more versatility into my wardrobe while also keeping in mind my concept and my needs when it comes to comfort and wearability. Okay, another out, which is another I feel a result of a lot of the oversaturated content that we have seen on TikTok. And that is with making aesthetics our personality rather than finding an aesthetic through our personalities. I definitely got caught up in it when I was really working on developing who I am as a person and what makes me feel good inside versus what I think is beautiful but isn't practical on my body. And I definitely got caught up in all of the aesthetification, all of the core this and the core that, whimsigoth, every little teeny weeny element of fashion having to have a core or some sort of aesthetic established with it, to the point that it went beyond just, like you think whimsigoth, or you think cottagecore, or you think all of these big trends that have become encapsulated in these not just aesthetic, capsule wardrobes, but also a aestheticized personality that has to go with the lookbook. Like, you can't be whimsy goth, or you can't be clean girl, or you can't be cottagecore unless you're doing all those little outer things that have nothing to do with the clothing other than just adding to the aestheticization of that particular style. And I definitely got caught up into the whole concept that, oh, I need to embody all of this, or oh, I need to be just one core, just one aesthetic, just one thing. Whereas putting that on myself, as much as nice as it is to be able to relate to and feel like you're within a community of like-minded people, it really took away from my ability to express myself even more, to be able to venture out more into trying new things in my style, because I was so locked down and being like, well, I have to be this, my aesthetic has to be this. Whereas my personal aesthetic is a little bit of everything. I'm a magpie. In a past life, I was some sort of like male bird with an excessive amount of plumage. And I would love to see fashion pull itself away from having to be specifically branded, especially when it comes to, I have a deeper involved video that I've got notes on that I'm going to be doing, talking about how toxic and how unproductive labeling ourselves with all of these aesthetics and ascribing every little thing to an aesthetic, and it being like, oh, well, I have milk tea thus and such because it's an aesthetic. Oh, I only write on this stationery. Oh, I have to have my green juice and I have to exercise because it's part of the aesthetic. Just be you and let yourself be fluid. Let yourself experience things. Style, although, well, we keep it true to ourselves throughout the years, it is not a static. It is, you develop as you get new inspirations, music, reading, TV shows. And it's an important human experience to then take those inspirations and allow them to alter and change our views on how we see ourselves. And that's totally fine. Like, people are like, either they're like, okay, if you break free out of the aesthetic, you're awful. Or another horrible thing is people are like, I'm this aesthetic, and then they decide they're not aesthetic, throw that away, and then they get a completely different capsule aesthetic, and the process repeats itself while we're being bombarded with the concept and the belief that an aesthetic, establishing yourself into one single aesthetic, is what personal style is. Whereas for me and my house, personal style is what makes you feel comfortable, what makes you feel happy, and personal style is something that grows and develops with me and with you throughout your life and experiences. All right, a fashion in. Let's just do something real simple. I am super excited for pattern and texture mixing. Now, I know this is something that was pretty popular in 2024, and I see it becoming even more in 2025, especially with the concept that maximalism is really coming again to the forefront, which I am very excited to see, even though while I am not a maximalist, although to some people I might be considered more out there. There are quite a few creators that I get lots of inspiration from just watching them truly be themselves, and what I hope will continue with textures and maximalism and pattern mixing, that it becomes a place for true expression rather than just people trying to over accessorize, over wear clothing for the sake of it being a trend and something that's popular in the moment, versus being a true boon for those people who do dress more excessively to be able to be seen and appreciated for their edge and what they bring to fashion. I am truly looking forward to doing plaid on plaid on plaid. I'm not too crazy or well versed in pattern mixing. I have a tendency to go pretty monochromatic, which is something that I still enjoy. We've got purple in the cardigan, purple in the nails, purple in the rings, purple in the jewelry, purple on my eyeballs. I really like a monochromatic look. Doing monochromatic looks with different prints, but in the same color families. I've been looking in and seeing there are quite a few people on YouTube that I look for, and even though their style may not be on par, similar, not on par, that sounds on par. Their style doesn't necessarily resonate with me, for me, on my body, but I absolutely love how they put things together, how they're able to see how things that may seem super different actually work well together. I don't think I've been bouncing about these in the right way. I'm not entirely sure. We'll see how it is when I go to edit this video. But a couple outs for me. I don't want to see any more outfit repeat shaming or hating on our past style. I feel like these two things are very counterproductive to how fashion is. I mean, outfit repeat shaming is definitely, it's been a thing and it's existed, but with, again, TikTok and that really fast cycle of needing to do hauls, of all of these micro trends, of aestheticizing every aspect of ourselves until it doesn't feel good enough, and then we have to find another aesthetic. I mean, when it comes to outfit repeating, it's like, for me, I'm like, yeah, that outfit was fire. I looked amazing. I felt amazing. Everybody said I looked amazing. Why wouldn't I wear that outfit? Or even if I wear that outfit, no one says I look amazing, but I feel amazing. I think it's awesome. Why wouldn't you take those things that you love and make you feel good and wear them over and over and over again? I have quite a few pieces, quite a few outfits that I just go back to for the sake of them. I know they're good. I know I like them. It's just like, I have the clothing. I'm going to have the clothing for an extended period of time. Why not wear it multiple times? The horror. And that really is a part in with the whole haul culture, which I do see the concept of large hauls, at least on platforms like YouTube, being less and less viable as people are making a bit of a more push for sustainability. But really, when you see these people who are just, fashion, and especially fast fashion and clothing, has become a consumable to the point where it is, we buy it and we have it and we wear it once and then we throw it away. Versus for me, and what I like, is we buy it because we have it and we want to wear it repeatedly. And I'm really sick of seeing people just have the concept of like, oh, if you wear a top multiple times, you're not fashionable, or you're whatever, or you're not able to participate in all of the trends because you're not buying and getting rid of stuff over and over and over again. And sort of in the same vein of hating on our personal style, I've seen a couple videos, and I'm planning on doing a video reacting to some of my past outfits, but reacting to some of my past outfits in the concept of looking back at the time where I, was, my age, everything like that. I think it's, again, counterproductive to our own fashion development when you look back at yourself and be like, well, I had no idea what I was doing. I was this blind. I didn't have fashion. And me now versus me then is so elevated and fashionable and awesome. I'm sure at some point, 5 years from now, I'm gonna look back at some of the outfits I did now that I thought were absolute fire, and I'm gonna be like, We can't always be fashion perfect, and we need to offer ourselves grace when it comes to our past style. It isn't fair to just be looking and demonizing. I mean, especially when you're looking at yourself when you were in your 20s. In your teens and your early 20s. I don't think it's fair to cast a massive amount of judgment of how we were then, because one of the important aspects of personal style is looking back and seeing all of those influencing and allowing yourself to evolve and change. I'm not saying we can't look back with a critical eye and being like, that was a choice, because there are moments like that, but I don't like the excessive hating and the excessiveness of like, oh, that past me, I could never, nail blindness, eyebrow blindness. It's fun to look back with a critical eye and look at yourself, but at the same time, I feel that there is an excessive amount of shaming ourselves because we don't have the same context and knowledge and growth that we do now, which is completely normal that we didn't have it then and that we have it now. Kudos to those who've been able to take their style from when they were like 13 and are now living it up in their 30s. That is a fantastic, wonderful, very unique ability, and I truly applaud those who have been able to do that with their style, but I'm simply not a big fan of hating on ourselves and hating on our development just for the sake of it, rather than looking back and being like, oh, there's a little element there that I still have today, versus just looking at it and being like, yeah, this person was a complete hot garbage mess. And some fashion ins for me for 2025. We're just gonna, again, my ins are a bit more just like, ooh, fashion this, fashion that. And my outs are like, let's have some discourse about what's gonna be in for 2025. Super excited for bold gothic florals. We've got plaid, tweed, thick knits, brocade, carpet bag material, all of those sort of textures and prints and everything are moving forward and being a pretty big boom in 2025. This is great for me because these are things that I already love and have in my wardrobe, and to have that be even more encouraging, not necessarily for me going and buying more things of that same thing, because I don't purchase anything firsthand anymore. And if it is popular, less likely to be trickling down into the secondhand market. But to be able to see people who are in this style, styling it, for me to take notes, take notice, and be like, okay, all right, when I do find that thing trickle down into the thrift store, I'll be able to style it because I have inspiration from this person showing me what they're doing. We've got eclectic jewelry is a very big thing. I have always been a fan of adornment, a little bit something, a little bit more. Again, magpie, fancy bird. If it's a way to decorate the flesh prison, I'm going to try my best to put on it. I am a very big advocate for secondhand, high quality jewelry, sterling silver, natural stones, that sort of thing. I know some pretty bold and chunky and like crazy jewelry has been seen going down the runway. Less my thing now. I like a bit layering and accessorizing that way rather than just like putting all my investment in some big heavy things. Apparently it's also the era of funky fugly shoes. I was reading one article that was talking, they had some shoes that I would never wear now, but aesthetically and looking at them, I am all for funky, crazy footwear. I feel like footwear and handbags really do add so much level of finishing touches to an outfit, or something that can really bring it all in and make it head to toe just a statement. This has been going on for a crazy amount. So I have some outs that are going to be, again, this is something that I would like to have continued discourse out of just sort of touching on things in this video. And the example I wanted to give of something that I want to leave out and stay in 2024 and not have it be in 2025 is aestheticizing to a point of ignorance and privilege. Now, this is definitely going to need a more nuanced, deeper discussion, but a brand example I wanted to give, I haven't done a deep dive into this brand yet. Let me know if you would like me to, but the brand Magnolia Pearl, which when I first initially saw this brand, I was like, that is so everything. It is sold on Free People. They have their own site. I think it's maybe Urban Outfitters where they're also sold. They are a very free, boho, floral, love everybody, love this, and apparently they're doing good things for sustainability. However, I find that their efforts or their attempts and their sustainability is overshadowed by several other elements that I find problematic within their brand. And that has to do with naming things within their brand while ignoring cultural context to those things that they are glorifying and aestheticizing and charging a premium for. This is not an inexpensive brand. I know they wouldn't be considered luxury, but when you're talking about $500 pairs of shoes, $500 pairs of jeans, and that price point, that really is, you are a brand that it is a privilege to purchase from. My first initial upset with this brand, and I don't think they're either not named that anymore or they just don't have them available anymore, and that is the hobo boot. Now, I didn't know initially what the actual terminology for hobo meant. While people, I think, feel that they say hobo when they think of someone homeless, in reality, it is actually a term that was used for men during the the 1870s through the 1930s, which was the like golden era of the hobo, were transient working men who were using, boxcars for traveling, finding work so that they could then send money back home to their families. It wasn't a case of like homelessness as it was a case of this literal lifestyle that was due to the era at the time. And to just sort of take that and whitewash it in a way and be like, oh, look, aren't I cute with my little hobo boots, completely ignoring the greater cultural context of where the terminology that they're using comes from. And an even worse thing that really, really boils my whatevers is they have, while I was doing research looking for the hobo boot, they may not have that on the site, but for like $425, I think they're sold out though, you can get a Bojangle boot. Now, for those of you who don't know, who don't see the red flags flaming up on every single side when I heard that, I'm gonna look my notes so I don't want to. Issue for this is Bojangles was in reference to Bill Robinson, a black man and American tap dancer who was the most highly paid black entertainer in the US during the first half of the 20th century. Now, when you think about brands and inspiration, you might think, oh, well, they're trying to give tribute and thus and such. I would be much more likely to believe this if any of their ad campaigns or any of their marketing or any of their anything had anything more than just a teeny weeny drop of melanin. But when your aesthetic is literally this, I find it extremely problematic, extremely troubling that you are taking something straight out of black culture from a black man and making it aestheticized, making it very white, giving no reference, and profiting off of that in a large way. $500 Bojangle boots. If you want to be a pretty cute little free people aestheticized blonde lady, then you're going to get yourself some Bojangle boots without having any concept to, again, that greater cultural, the absolute disrespect to take it. Would this be considered cultural appropriation? Because I feel like even if it's not, there are definitely some things that need to be looked into and things that need to be said about this. And within that is also the fact that their denim, I believe it's, if not all of it, at least a large majority is called minor denim. Now we're not talking about minors, we're talking about minors. And what I said here is prettifying a harsh reality in order to capitalize on vintage verbiage. Mining is some of the most dangerous work, and the mining aesthetic that they're like, oh, look at my cutesy miner denim, is from when mining, you had things like black lung, the casualty ratings, you had children working in the mines, and just the absolute dangerous conditions that these men were working in. I listened to a lot of desensitized content talking about disasters and things like that, and I've listened to a lot of videos, a lot of discourse talking about cave-in and disasters that happen with mining ventures. And it's, again, I feel, taking something that is so historically significant, taking something that is not a cutesy, kitschy aesthetic. It's something we are removing the significance and the historical importance of these times and of these men whose lives were truly given so that we can have a better life now, taking that and putting it as a, the reason why miners wore denim is because of how rough and hardy it was. You're going down there in the coal mines, in the dark, checking and dynamiting and just again, the harsh reality of why there was so much history around mining and miners and workers' rights and unions, and taking that and just making it this sweet, cute, kitschy, floral, ditzy miner denim really, really does not vibe well with me. This has been going on for way too long. I've been trying to keep my content kind of at a not long, excessive amount. I have to cut it off here. If you are interested in hearing more, I have other points I would love to talk about. I just really wanted to get to that one at the end, some of the ones that I feel, someone who loves fashion as well as history, I really think we need to have more discourse and more understanding, and more we need to take those steps to really look into the things that are being pushed as being normal, and to keep those things from being whitewashed for the sake of style and fashion and aestheticization. I really hope you enjoyed this video. This one was very near and dear to my heart. I really enjoyed filming this. Thank you all so much for watching. I love you. And as always, keep it real. Mwah!